Today's guests hold a title that very few people anywhere in the world can claim, a Guinness World Record, not for something trivial, but for pulling together the largest webinar attendance in recorded history. He's been a professor and head of orthodontics for over 2 decades, an author of 11 books, a speaker across 5 continents, and the creator of AI tools now used by thousands of dental professionals worldwide.
Most of them consider AI as a magic. They feel it is a magic. You give a prompt and you get the result. Nobody knows about the wireframe, that how exactly it works. Nobody knows about the limitations of AI. Nobody knows which are the core structure of AI. Utilizing AI in a right way, they will be smarter doctors. They will have more times for their families. They will have more times for playing golf. They will have more money because they will be more evidence based. If it has been utilized in a wrong way, then probably we'll have a disaster, which is absolutely unacceptable, and there will be a lot of crooked results, and we'll have brains which are not worth being doctors.
Welcome back to the Dental Lens, where we zoom in on the minds shaping the future of dentistry. Today's guests hold a title that very few people anywhere in the world can claim, a Guinness World Record, not for something trivial, but for pulling together the largest webinar attendance in recorded history. He's been a professor and head of orthodontics for over 2 decades, an author of 11 books, a speaker across 5 continents, and the creator of AI tools now used by thousands of dental professionals worldwide. He holds a diploma in AI and digital health from IISC Bangalore, has 56 plus peer-reviewed publications, and has delivered immersive AI literacy workshops to over 700 delegates. He is a fellow of both the WFO and AAO and the founder of MedLitc, a platform dedicated to democratizing AI education across healthcare. Dr. Ajay Kubavat didn't just enter the world stage, he broke a record getting there. Welcome to the Dental Lens, Dr. Ajay. So, Doctor, you have had a 20 plus year run as a professor and department head. What finally made you say now is the time to go for AI?
I always believe in one quote which every doctor or every individual should apply in their life, and which says that change is the only constant in this world. And at the same time, there's a very famous proverb said by the Pope Alexander, which said that never be the first by whom you are tried. At the same time, nor be the last to lay the old aside. So when we say that we are doctors, we have to be very rational. We have to be very pragmatic. We have to be, very innovative. At the same time, we need to always, I would say, respect the technology for the betterment of patient, humankind. At the same time, a betterment of doctors also. So I thought technology, if, I started something after COVID where I thought that even technology was absolutely, not so much of use when it came to a COVID. Everything stands still. So at that time, I thought we are so handicapped, even with so many technology and so much of technologies, everything is absolutely standstill. All the roads are empty, entire cities are empty, parks are, all the animals are coming on the roads and all. So at that time, I thought, let me just start utilizing it constructively, and I started my hobby of, reading a lot about the technology and AI, and somehow I increased my interest, and then I got an opportunity to get into the IISC Bangalore, where I have done my digital health and AI in healthcare diploma, and which opened up my mind that this is something we medical people are always, scared of, especially when it comes to the math. The very reason of choosing biology was because we didn't want to go in, math and engineering. So, but as an orthodontist, we always had to embrace physics. So, somehow I started liking it, and then slowly, I'm now understanding the bit about it.
You talk about AI literacy not as coding but as understanding.
Very good question. Like when it comes to the literacy, to be very honest, how many doctors would be aware about the AI literacy? That what exactly the AI literacy is? If you ask, I have done certain, I would say whenever I'm conducting any workshop, I always ask few questions on a Mentimeter poll, which is AI based poll platform. When I got the answer that most of them consider AI as a magic. They feel it is a magic. You give a prompt and you get the result. Nobody knows about the wireframe, that how exactly it works. Nobody knows about the limitations of AI. Nobody knows which are the, I would say, the core structure of AI. How many orthodontists, how many dentists, or how many dental professionals would know what, when you give a prompt or when you ask something to AI, how does the result which has been generated, it has been presented to you, and whether to rely on that result or not to rely, and why not to rely, and why to rely, and how to fix it. To know that, there has to be a literacy that up to which extent a doctor should embrace the AI, and where there has to be a red flag, because we are not treating a machine, we are treating a human being. So there has to be a human should be in a command, or human in the loop, as we say.
Yeah.
So that's when I thought, let me just start doing something where the literacy amongst our dental fraternity increases.
I think it is very powerful what you are doing, because most of them, like even if they're using AI, as you said, they do not know what
Exactly.
goes behind that and how reliable an AI is. And we've also talked about like bias, false precision, and the edge cases, like for difficult cases.
I would say, when you first start using the AI, first understand how exactly the framework of AI is. What is AI? So AI is a trunk. Then we have a machine learning, which is a branch of a trunk of a tree. Then we have a deep learning, which are, I would say, the terminal branches of the tree. Then we have a CNN, convolution neural network, artificial neural network, and all. So how exactly AI works? What is a data set? Whether the data which was being fed, what is a supervised learning, what is unsupervised learning, what is reinforced learning, because these are very important things which needs to be taught. I personally feel that this should come in the curriculum of dentistry as well, world over, because we cannot simply say that no, we don't want to, because we cannot become dogmatic, we cannot become I would say prejudiced. We should not be prejudiced, and we should not have a preconceived notion that no, AI is something which we should not, right? So I personally feel, first teach the literacy, what exactly the jargons of AI is, because people are scared about it. When you say RAG, retrieval augmented generation, people are scared. In last workshop where I conducted, where there are more than 700 people, so I asked all of them that which app you guys are using, or LLM you guys are using. Half of them didn't know what is LLM, large language model. Some of them knew, and they said that we use Chat GPT. I said, okay, very good. So what is the meaning of GPT? Then they were like, general purpose tool. I said, that's a very layman's term. Like, you are a doctor, you cannot simply say the general purpose tool. But what exactly it is? So very few of them knew what exactly the GPT means. GPT stands for, and that's when I thought that it's a collective duty of all of us. And I appreciate your initiative where you are calling people from the domain expertise, and you are sharing with the people, because where you are sitting right now and doing what you are doing, I have done exactly the same thing during COVID. I had conducted 75 webinars with who's who of orthodontics across the globe, day in and day out. So there not a single day was lapsed when I did not do a webinar, and all webinars were absolutely free, of course. So I appreciate and I really applaud what you are doing.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been a bit of thing that I want to do for the profession as well, because if you make it a common thing to talk about, then many people will be benefited from it. I think, yeah, I think many clinicians are afraid, as you said, afraid of
Yes,
AI.
very good. So first of all, as I said, the framework has to be understood. So what is a data? Data then becomes a data set. Data sets then becomes a language model, and then it becomes a large language model. So there's some principle called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So whatever data you feed in the machine, the same quality of data will come out. If you feed the machine a substandard data, you will have a substandard data which will be outputted, right? So which LLM you are using? First of all, understand what is LLM. It's a large language model where the entire data of any specific domain or entire data sets of lot of other domains been stored somewhere in a data center. Now that data center will be used as from where the data will be churned, and whatever the question has been asked to AI, those data will come and it will generate the answer. So there is something called NLP. We call it as an NLP, natural language processing. So natural language process, until now what used to happen, that computer never used to understand our languages. Computer always used to understand binary language, which is 1 and 0 and 0 0 0 1 1 1 and all. Only 0 and 1 was understood by the computer. Computer never understood this. But now computer understands your language, our language, right? So it's called a natural language processing. So when we have NLP, so what happens is everybody is using AI. Some of them say that no, we are not using AI in our practice. I can just tell you the instances. Every morning you have alarm, right, in your clock. That's AI. Every day, if you are watching Netflix, it suggests you that which movie you want to see based upon your choices. That's AI. Google, AI. YouTube, AI. Spotify, AI. Right? Then whatever autocorrect mode is there in your mobile, that is also AI. Instagram filters, AI. Your Snapchat, whichever things what you are using, it's all AI. But what is happening is that we forgotten that no, AI is something which we know, but we are scared of it because people are worried that it might take their job. But I always say that AI will not take your job, but the doctor who knows AI will definitely take your job. So the first starting point should be know AI. What exactly the artificial intelligence is? What are its capabilities? So when you go to a capabilities, so AI can do understanding very well, it can read very well, it can remember very well, right? It can apply it also. But AI cannot analyze so much like human being. AI cannot apply, or I would say create something on its own. I'm not talking about a generative AI, but when it comes to the medicine or a dentistry, AI cannot create something. So when you look at the Bloom's taxonomy, which says that RUA, like remember, understand, read, understand, and apply, right? So those three things AI can do very well. The rest of the three things would be difficult for AI to evaluate as well as create something out of it. So we should know the limitations. Now what happens most of the time when people start using AI, they feel that okay, it is like it's a God's I would say sentence. Whatever AI gives, absolutely correct. AI doesn't give anything. AI gets the answer from the data, a quality of data which you have fed it. So now, if you ask a question to AI that kindly give me treatment of so and so, no, this is a very generic question, a very generic question, right?
Yes.
I'll give you an example that how should one start using AIs. AI can be, let me just go to the generic question. So if you ask AI that I have X-ray of a 23 years old patient who is asymptomatic other than the woofing cough every morning. So what are the differential diagnosis? Now when you ask a question like this, AI, there's something called hallucination, right? AI has hallucination built into it. The reason why hallucination is there because AI doesn't give any answer that I don't know, because that's against the framework of how AI has been trained. AI thinks that it has to answer, even if it is wrong, it will answer you. Even with the wrong reference also, which is never existed, it will show you the article which was never published, the research which was never done. That's called hallucination. So now there are frameworks where you can actually you have to go there and see the answer. So now there are frameworks, something called, I call it as AI doesn't know what you are asking as a general. Like if you, I always give this example that if you go to an ice cream vendor and ask them that give me an ice cream, the vendor will ask that which ice cream you want. You want a cup, you want a candy, you want a cone, you want a sundae. Okay. Then you say, no, I want a cup. And then said, which cup? Yeah, which flavor you want, whether small, large. So there will be 10 questions attached to it. And then finally you come to the answer. Rather than that, you go to a shopkeeper and say that I want an ice cream which should be in a cup, a larger cup, right? I don't need any nuts into the ice cream. I want a plain flavored ice cream. I need something which is seasonal, right? And it should not be having too much of gelatin into it. So then immediately he will give you 3 options. So these are 3 options rather than giving you 30 options, right? So I call it as a prompt engineering. So you give a correct prompt. When you give a correct prompt to AI will come to the conclusion where it will draw you to somewhere. Like if for the same question you ask that act as a pulmonologist and I'm sharing a detail about one of my patient whose X-ray is like this. Whenever you're sharing any X-rays, make sure that you mask it. A name of the patient should not be there. Right? None of the data should disclose the identity of the patient because data privacy is a basic right of a patient. Right? Suppose if you ask that, you can write either as a pulmonologist or a radiologist, expert radiologist with more than 10 years of experience, and evaluate the X-rays which I'm sharing right now. And patient is having so and so history. Is asymptomatic, non-smoker, never had tuberculosis, had a COVID, took COVID vaccine, and then give me a differential diagnosis. Now the AI's entire differential diagnosis would be completely different than how generic question you had asked. Now there's a framework which says that you have to put the constraint also. The constraint where you have to ask a question or write down that make sure not to hallucinate and give all references of the article which have been published in PubMed without hallucination. So when you ask such question, the entire answer will be completely different. Now what will happen is this will augment. It will not replace. It will not do automation. But it will augment the skill of a doctor. What will happen is sometimes you have overlooked something. The patient is having, certain kind of patches in the lung, which was being overlooked. People can overlook it. It does happen. We are human beings as well, right? But AI will not overlook it. It will give you that particular option as well. So now what happens is that you got some augmentation in your thought process and skill as well. You verify it, validate it, and then correlate with the patient's clinical condition, right? And your answers will be completely, not an answer, but it will act as an assistant to you, right? Second thing, I would say every doctor should start using AI for few mundane tasks, like giving an appointment. Every doctor should have a chatbot for their own website. Every doctor should have a chatbot for their own, I would say, Instagram profile. Every doctor should have a chatbot for their Google My Business profile. It doesn't take too much. You can do it on your own also without coding also. I'm not a coder. I don't know how to code on a Python and all. I know the language Python, how it works, but I don't know how to code on the Python. So now, based upon all this, every doctor should start using something which is mundane task, right? So your appointment scheduling, your other things, which
can start with patient communication.
Exactly, patient communication as well as I would say social media marketing and a lot of other things which can be done. And then slowly you are using AI somewhere. Like if you're an orthodontist, you're already using AI for designing your aligners. If you're using scanner, then already using AI for stitching the scan what you have scanned and send it across to the lab. And then so there are so many things where you are using AI, but be a little more smarter. And now you start having, I would say, transcribed software as well, where patient will speak in their own native language, whichever language they come. Like suppose you are working in Saudi Arabia, right? So maybe possible that people like us, when we visit, we don't know Arabic language. So it should not be a constraint. If I don't know Arabic and if my patient doesn't know Hindi or English, it should not be a constraint for them to get the best treatment, and it shouldn't be a constraint for a doctor to give the best result to the patient. So nowadays AI is very helpful. The moment patient asks in their own language, native language, the AI will help doctor getting entire chief complaint, as well as the entire history of the patient in English or whichever languages they want. So that is how AI works without having any translator also. You don't need a translate software also. So this is where AI has actually scaled up to.
Like for taking patient notes, and AI diagnostics has also become a popular thing. And I think we have one company in India called VScan Diagnostics, which is doing this AI diagnosis in India specifically. And there also, I read about an article in India AI where they are asking dentists or dental clinic owners to help make them the data sets that they can refer it to.
Very
So
true.
right now, what
Very
data
true.
sets we have is all from the Western market, but not from our own data sets. And like getting to know how to send upload it to the AI also will help us in.
So that is what I always say, that there are 7 sins of using this right in medicine or in dentistry or any healthcare facilities. And the biggest one is, first is hallucination, and second biggest is a bias, as you said, because most of the data sets are being used in the Western population, and no disrespect to any race, but that is also for only whites, right? Even the data sets for brown and black people are not so much of data set. So whenever the AI generates an answer, it's always biased towards the white population. We are not disrespecting a white population. It is basically, this is something which is leaking. So we have to train a model where every corner of the world has been well represented, right? Equally represented, and then we can get a better answer. We can get a better result for the patients also. So data, I would say, data allocation amongst all the races and multi-locular, I would say, multiple locations has to be involved, and that is how it will evolve. And the India AI has done a very nice thing, that they are, inviting people to set lot of, you create a data for dentistry, and they're open for it. Yes. Government is even giving you a GPU free of cost. One GPU cost you so many dollars an hour, and government is ready to give you GPU for free. Indian government has also come up with something called a Sarvam AI, which is a multi-linguistic AI app, where 20 more than 25 languages have been already been built into it. Why don't you start? Why don't the doctors start utilizing and using this app, Sarvam, and then they can incorporate inside their software itself, and in all 25 native languages of India, right? It can take all things, and then it will transfer into the medically, I would say, transcribed manner. So that's amazing thing. I think it is a very easy start with for using Sarvam AI, because as even in a, like, I'm from Hyderabad, so in Hyderabad there are 3 to 4 languages, Telugu, Hindi, and many people don't communicate everything. It will be a great start if you start with just And there is an economical side of it as well. Like, if you have a patient who speaks only, I would say, Odia. Yes. Yet now gone are the days where you say that no, I don't speak Odia, so I will not treat you because I don't know your chief complaints. Right. Now you have Sarvam AI. Tell patient to speak. It will transcribe everything in your language, and then you'll understand everything. Your all instructions can be in their vernacular language as well. So that's a good initiative. But the basic steps should be started from. I think AI literacy should come, I think, basically from dental colleges itself. A dental school should start having some curriculum design to give AI literacy to both teachers, because teachers should be able to taught the students, and to taught you need to learn yourself. To teach you need to learn. When they learn, they pass on to the next generation, and next generation are really very smart. They know a lot of things about the jargons of AI. They know what is supervised learning, the word unsupervised learning, and everything. So I personally feel that India has a bright future, where a lot of talent pools are there. Everybody started using AI, and as and when more data will come from India, right? Probably we have 1.4 billion people, right? And AI is, I would say, the next revolution will come from the data sciences itself. Data is like a gold mine. Data is the new petrol, they're saying, or new oil. Yeah.
So you actually launch, design and launch framework for dental educations.
Okay, so basically, I'll just if I can share, can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Present it and
Yes.
show you. So this is what I teach them. I'll slowly just quickly, not slowly. I'll just get you through that. That if you look at the AI landscape in healthcare, 67% of global medical schools are already adopted it. But India is lagging behind because it is only 12%. Right?
Okay.
There are $20 billion is already been given to AI in healthcare. By 2030, it will jump to a massively high amount. Then let me just tell you that when you're teaching AI, we need to just take them through a foundation, what exactly the AI is, what is a deep learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence, that generative AI, and then I have ignited, I have just sparked that what is AI. So when you start a spark like that what is AI, then slowly everything comes in their mind, and it will ignite a brain to know that okay, what is AI and how it has been used. I'm showing the used cases where AI has been used. Like suppose if you go to WebSafe now, what happens is you give a cephalogram to WebSafe and it will do a cephalometric analysis within 15 seconds to 20 seconds, which used to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on your expertise, right? Something like Overjet, where you give the radiograph, IOP radiograph, and it tells you what exactly the problem there, right? Where you have a class 2 cavities, where you have a bone loss and all. So these are the use cases. When you start showing them the use cases, their mind will be ignited. And then I take them to a little deeper dive when I say that what is ANI, what is AGI, what is ASI. So, and they understand that okay, what is what. So that they'll start understanding a little bit more about the AI and how AI can be used in their practice or in their I would say curriculum. And then slowly there are 4 types of AI. So this is about the AI literacy. And then in Spark, again AI literacy continues. We give them a jargons. All these jargons I always teach them that what is AI, what is machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, LLM, hallucination, what are training data, because this is very important. And I have developed some apps also. I have developed 6 to 7 apps where entire jargons been explained as well. Then the Spark continues same way. So then comes the framework, that how exactly the framework works. One should know, start using it, evaluate, and then there has to be a governing that up to which extent we should use AI. Right? Shall we follow it blindly, or we should do our own brain study and decide that whether there has to be a governing body. And that's where I say that there is something called a human in the loop, right? The analogy which I give them is like if you are driving a car, there are 3 types of cars. One is a manual car where you are changing the gear, you have accelerator, brake and clutch, everything, and you'll have to control everything. That's what I say, I would say human in the loop. When the second one comes, a human on the loop, right? When human on the loop comes, it's basically like a cruise control in the car, an automatic car. But the third is absolutely no in healthcare. That's human out of the loop. The day on which you have human out of the loop, probably I think it's like a robot completely robotizing the healthcare industry, where empathy will be taken out, your treatment will be given by robots, a lot of other things. So that's how the mental model of that works. And these are the 7 sins which are very important. Don't blind trust the AI. If you don't have human in the loop, make sure that human should always be in the loop. Sometimes what happens is people do a copy paste and they think that the plagiarism is a learning. It's not a learning, right? You are just simply copying something from the AI, you are accepting it and you are presenting somewhere else. Then bias, as we discussed about bias, Then data privacy, that's I don't know. I'm sure that Saudi will have even stricter data protection act, and every country should have. India has something called a DPDP 2023, right? So where the patient's data is absolutely utmost important, and it should be completely preserved in a private thing. Same way in US they have a HIPAA guidelines. And there is something called a de-skilling. What happens when you start using too much of AI for everything? When you ask AI that just diagnose a caries for me, why would you say AI to diagnose a caries, man? I would say that if you are a dentist, you should be able to diagnose a caries just by seeing it, right? More and more, the next generation will start using AI. The skills of them will definitely reduce. That's what the major concern for me as well, right? Then comes last one is over reliance. Again, that's something where when you start asking every question to AI, probably I would say you become too dependent on the AI vendors and the tools rather than your own skills and your own interpersonal skills, right? So these are all sins, and so we have to preserve the struggle, as I say, and these are the arsenal which we need to have. Large language model, anything you can use, Perplexity you can use, Chat GPT, Claude, anything. The presentation what you're saying right now is being made completely on a Gamma. This is an AI presentation tool. You can have a Canva also, because this is very useful when you're doing a clinical practice as well. Sometimes we are scared of preparing PowerPoint presentation of entire things, and we think that it will take too much of time. It is a very mundane task, and I'm not designed to do that because I'm a doctor. It's not my duty. So this app can be very helpful to you. And research and knowledge hub, that is amazing thing. Every doctor should try Notebook LM, even if as a student, teacher, or a practitioner, because it will not hallucinate. As I said about GIGO, garbage in and garbage out protocol, in Notebook LM, you give a specific data to the Notebook LM, and you get specific answer only from the data what you have given inside, right? And then there are education specific magic school is there, and this is very important for anybody who wants to use AI. I call it as a prompt engineering system where these five things are very important. What role?
Okay.
Who should AI be? Establish clear person for the AI to adopt. Context. What context you are asking a question to AI? What is a task? What format you need an answer to be given by the AI? And which are the constraints you want to tell the AI that don't do this, don't do that, right? I won't answer in this way only. So likewise, as I said, there are a lot of things which we can start utilizing AI into. With this, let me just stop sharing. I think I stopped sharing, right? I conduct entire 2 days of workshop for this. So it's more in detail, but I just give the brief abstract idea about what AI can do. There are a lot of other things. You can create your apps, you can create your own chatbot, you can create your own website. You can use anything for designing something like you can even design your digital twin, right? You can even utilize it for public awareness. Also, you can create videos. It's something called a generative AI. So it's a very larger umbrella. AI is a very larger umbrella. I would say that if you understand the capabilities as well as limitations of AI, probably I guess sky is the limit. And always consider AI as to assist and augment, not to replace. Yes, Lenso. So Lenso is basically something where there's something called American Board of Orthodontics. So if you want to give an exam of American Board of Orthodontics or MORTH or something like that, so you need to present your cases in certain ways. So certain ways is in you need to have a pre-treatment photographs. One is this, then side profile, then smile, thirds, three, fourths, and all. So all those parameters built into it. It has all the guidelines for HIPAA guidelines, DPDP Act. All complete privacy has been stored because whichever photographs been taken using your mobile, using our Lenso app, will never be saved in any server, but it will be saved only on your mobile from which you are taking a picture. It will never go to any server. So your data privacy is absolutely, and then at the same time, we have incorporated AI features into it, where the moment you take a picture, it will tell you everything about what is lacking, what is the mental-labial sulcus, what is the red flag, where the patient is having a lower facial height which is increased, patient is having a nasolabial angle which is increased and obtuse, so there is a protrusion from side. Also, it tells you an idea about what exactly. When you smile, it gives an idea about whether the golden proportion has been followed or not, what is lacking a smile, there is an overjet and all. So entire app will tell you an idea about everything what you need in one patient, right? Likewise, we are developing certain other apps also, and I have developed all these apps on my own, just utilizing my time and utilizing my passion about the AI. And if I can do it, then anybody can do it.
Okay.
Okay, so I use a Perplexity, I use a Claude, and then you get little bit of knowledge about coding, but not exactly the codes where you need a Python and all. But there are 4 layers. There are 3 to 4 layers, basic layers of any app development. First is you need to know the name of the app, what you are developing, right? What is the objective of developing this app? What are the parameters you will be using? What are the technical frameworks which will be used for this? Where are you going to put this repository, right, for this app? Repository is in, like, you have created entire language, coding language. Now, you cannot just write it on the paper and put it inside your pocket and you run everywhere, right? There are digital spaces where you will park it.
Yes. Yes.
So one of the very common and easiest and free one is a GitHub, GITHub, right? So everybody can start utilizing GitHub, and then you can have an API, right? API is like it's like a waiter that you tell API that kindly connect me with the Google Gemini, right, or with the Perplexity or with Claude or whichever, and then it will get connected, and then you can utilize it, then design it well. You need to have a little bit of knowledge about JavaScript. That also, nowadays, if you don't have, Claude will take care of it. Claude has something called Claude Code, right? Then OpenAI has something called Codex. So there are certain platforms which can do all these things with your prompt. And once it has been done, park it as a repository. Then you will have to deploy it somewhere, right? Where you need to have a URL. Either you can have your own URL. URL is a website. Either you can have your own URL, which you can buy from anywhere. You can buy a domain name. Then you can allow somebody to host it somewhere, right? And then you deploy and publish it. The moment you publish it to the people, everything. But now there are 2, 3 red flags again here.
Okay.
If you are putting it as a public repository, everybody can see the codes which you have used. So there are plus and minus codes. Plus is that ideally it has been encouraged so that other developers know that what codes are being used for this. The negativity, I would say, it's a red flag for me, would be when you're using it for a medicine or healthcare. Tomorrow, anybody can do a plagiarism of that codes and can develop their own codes. They can fork it, right? And then they can use it and duplicate it as well. That's called a plagiarism. But wherever you do, if repository has your name, even if you have duplicated it or forked it, it will come there. So if when people open it, Dr. Saida Zaidi will definitely come that, okay, she's the owner of this idea, right? So there are certain layers about
I
it.
think you can create a workshop on this also, like start your own side hustle using AI for doctors.
Yeah, my practice, if allows me, I'll be more than happy to
So
do
what's
that as
the
well.
action in a room full of clinicians when the game starts?
Okay, so AI escape room is like there are 3 types of people. AI, those who are scared of AI, those who know AI is there, but nobody wants to go there. And then there are AI, I would say, people who know AI and they are early adopters. So I would say all three is not correct. If you're an early adopter, you will start utilizing, you will start adopting it with a blind trust. That is also not good, right? Then there are people who know that AI is there, but let me be the last to use it. Again, they are not good enough, right? And the third category is like AI, it's okay, let it be there, it will not replace me. I don't want to learn AI. So in the escape room, we have created a framework in such a way, a games in such a way that everybody will be involved and nobody can escape. Somebody cannot escape that. No, 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 no. I know AI. I am adopting, so I don't want to be here in escape room, right? Those who are not, they said no. Anyways, I am not using it. I don't want to be there. So escape room is engaging him in such a way that we have gamified the entire, I would say, the entire structure in such a way that everybody be involved, and at the end of the day, in that escape room, they will understand AI better than when they actually joined that escape room. So they would never wish to escape the room. My purpose is of escape room is absolutely, I would say, oxymoron, where they wish to begin with, but they will never escape it. They will be rather more happy to be there in not escaping the escape room.
So you conduct this in your workshops?
Yeah, I do conduct it in my workshop as well. Now, of the late, I am actually designing AI-based curriculum for universities as well. I am doing it for some universities abroad as well, and I'll be utilizing. I would say we are planning to have something we call that as a digital didactic ecosystem where everything where digitally will be done, keeping human in command. Because AAO, American Association of Orthodontists, had one white paper which says that wherever you are implementing AI, you have to make sure that human should be always in command, right? So nothing is to be left to the machine to decide ultimately. Machine can suggest to accept or not to accept. It is your duty.
The responsibility lies with the dentist.
Do your diligent. Yes, yes. So you do utilize your diligent mind as well as your experience.
If anything goes wrong, then who will be responsible? You cannot blame the AI for getting it wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there are certain cases where they have actually sued AI company that this has happened and who should be responsible for this thing. I would personally say that how can you blame a company, right? It's not their duty. You have allowed AI to be human out of the loop to automate the things. You can automate things. You can automate your mundane task. You can automate your appointment schedule. You can automate your social media posts and everything. But you cannot automate something where patient comes and if one injection is not acting, you cannot automate the robot to give second injection without human intervention. Right? It should be human should always be in command. It can suggest you that okay, if one injection is not helping, probably patient is either alcoholic or a chronic smoker, then you might need to give a second one. That too, any experienced doctor would know it. But it will be it's a kind of reminder. So it will help you. So you always consider it as a helpful. So my suggestion is if there is a larger organization which actually want to, implement AI, there has to be a single person in charge of the AI entire AI infrastructure in that particular organization, and that person should be the last one who should approve or acknowledge whatever has been approved or acknowledged. Because he is very well literate in AI. So I would say enterprise should have one very literate AI person who should be HOD or heading that particular human in command thing or AI thing, because it should last go to them and say that okay, and there has to be a discussion between him as well as the other doctors as well. What are the pros and cons of implementing whatever suggestions given by the AI? He should be a domain expert also. He should be from that particular domain as well as he should have an AI knowledge as well. Okay. In my clinic, I'm using all the apps whichever I'm developing. The purpose of that is because it is in a beta phase. I'm not commercializing it, I'm doing it just for my passion. At the same time, I'm making sure that my patient's data is absolutely safe. It is not nowhere there on the any server outside of India or on the Indian as well. And they're all completely anonymized and nobody can read it. I'm keeping human in the loop. So I'm doing it for practice management. I'm doing it for initial consultation. I'm doing it for, allowing patient to do a simulation we are doing, virtual realities, right? And we are even giving them an options also. Like, see, this is what I'm suggesting you. Now let's ask that to AI, and AI is also suggesting the same thing, right? At the same time, we are using it to practice more, I would say, evidence-based way, where if I am unsure of, treatment option A or B, I can always go to utilize the AI in a research, ask for certain studies similar to my patient, right? Look at the studies, read it thoroughly, and then apply your own expertise, your skills, and your knowledge of so many years. At least you got an option of certain, a plan C option has been also
AI has
suggested.
made research very easy. Like we don't have to go through the papers and find that particular article.
I think next generation would forget the smell of papers. What we had gone through.
So you're talking about virtual reality. It's like a
So
smile designing thing, or
it's like virtual reality is like wearing the, I would say, the virtual reality headset. So, like, suppose if I tell my patient that you need a braces, sometimes people say that no, I want an aligner. I said, yeah, you want an aligner, but the kind of crowding you're having, I would personally say that you need braces. That works faster and little better for you. And then they would say, how do I look? There are two ways of saying. I can just click the picture, show the simulation on the face, and then it's they can be done. Or I can create the same thing on the VR headset, and we can create a digital twin of his face, and can put a bracket, and then he'll see himself that how does he look, smile, speak, everything. So that is how these are the innovative ways you can start doing it. And you don't need any expensive things about it. You buy a good VR headset. Nowadays it is available. Then there is something called I would say AR also, or augmented realities. But augmented reality is still a little far, because in augmented reality we'll see that we show them that okay, this is this is a dental implant we are placing, and now that's how we do that. But it's not very easy to implement in a practice. It can be implemented in an institutional setup, but to implement something in a practice setup, it is little difficult. Simulation. So now even from simulation also, the training can happen on simulation. That's what we are working on right now. So instead of having a patient or a typodon physically, you can have a haptic simulators where you'll be utilizing something where the pressure, sensation, tactile, everything comes as it is a real patient, but you're not working on any patients. You're not working on a typodon. It is only a haptic simulator which gives you exact same environment as a human beings. So nowadays world has moved to haptic simulators. More and more patients you do, more and more clinical things you do, you start learning what not to do.
Yes.
And that is very
It
important.
is as important as learning what to do. Yes.
Exactly. It is more important than even learning what to do and how to do. So I think I have summarized everything in a very short talk of mine.
So, is there any book that you recommend for dentists to read about?
I would say there's something called, there's no specific books
Okay.
for a dentist on AI, but we are working on writing some book, and very soon we'll have one book. But until then, everybody should read AI for Dummies, Artificial Intelligence for Dummies. That's one book which is available on Amazon as well, and it will give you an idea about a basic idea about AI framework.
So if a young orthodontist is listening right now and they're skeptical about AI, like how much they can trust it, what's the one thing
I
that
would
they
say that try utilizing it, then you ask, right? Use it, evaluate it. Once you evaluate it, and if you trust it, then you can just put it on. You put yourself on a command and decide that whether this is, and whatever answers or whatever suggestion has been given by AI. So include AI in your practice up to an extent where final decision, final authority is you, not an AI. Never do something like if you want to design a aligner case, you just put a prompt to the AI and say that design all the aligner sets, manufacture it and send it across to me. Then why would patient will come to you? Rather tomorrow patient will go to some aligner center where there are robots sitting, right? Then what is your purpose?
what does dentistry look like in 2035 if we get AI education right? And what does it look like if we get it wrong?
If we get it right, probably we'll have a right direction, we'll have a right brain, utilizing AI in a right way. They'll be smarter doctors, they will have more times for their families, they'll have more times for playing golf, they'll have more money because they'll be more evidence based. If it has been utilized in a wrong way, then probably we'll have a disaster, and which is absolutely unacceptable, and there'll be a lot of crooked results, there'll be a lot of malpractice, and we'll have brains which are not worth being doctors.
I think my fear is also this because with even social media and everything, our brain is getting declined generation by generation. There are
Yes,
studies that are saying that students that who were 10 to 20 years before, they're not at the same level as we are now. So I
absolutely,
think in the end, the clinical, we need to keep our clinical brain alive, even if we automate our mundane tasks.
absolutely, absolutely. So I hope I was rational enough to give justice to your podcast.
Yeah, it was really nice. So this was one of the conversations that genuinely shifts how you see things. And I would say I'm an AI literate, but still I got to know so many things that I wasn't aware of. So I think any doctor who is going to say it will
Yeah,
get
you
benefit
can
from it.
always, people can just search me on LinkedIn and they can connect.
Yes, I will include all
Yeah,
the links in the description
I'll be more than
on the
happy to,
page.
conduct something on a bigger scale as well. We'll discuss about it and we'll do that. Okay?
Yeah, sure, sure. Even I was
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
like
we
we
can.
can do the workshop. Sure, sir. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time and thank you, doctor.